Welcome back, guys. I've done this video as a bit of a response to people that keep asking who looks after me Cosworth, and I know why they ask. It's very hard to find someone nowadays that's a proper old school mechanic that works on these cars and understands them. I think most modern stuff like this, you just plug a computer in, it tells you the fault. So the guy I use is a guy called Lawnsy, or John Lawns if you want the full name, and I go back a long way with John. Probably met him 15, 16 years ago when I got my first Sierra Cosworth, when he had his as well. He had a lovely 40-odd thousand mile Moonstone Blue one, and I think it was about 400 horsepower, and it drove like it was stolen. But I'm going to leave John to tell you that story because it's not the best of endings, so I'm going to let John tell you. But anyway, my Cossy's down there at the minute because it had a bit of a knock from underneath at the front. I've already changed the front prop shaft, so I know it's not that. So I'm thinking maybe the diff, something, I don't know. Anyway, I gave it to John. John's having a look at it. Hopefully he's got the answers when I get there. Just going to call along now, and you might remember Nathan from the video with the silver Cosy mine and the white one. Well, I'm actually going to take his Cosworth down. Right, so we're currently in Chesterley Street, well, near enough, and we need to go to Bowburn, and that's where John's place is, so going to have ourselves a little drive down. I'll be taking my time because anyone who knows Nathan who owns this car, nobody gets to drive his cars. Nobody. It's got the AP brakes on, it's got an MSD 380 chip, and the way it boosts is phenomenal. It flies around to 30 psi, just as a bit of a spike, then it holds back to about 25, and it's just a hell of a motor. It really is. It's on Siemens injectors. I think, was it Siemens 63 pound ones? I can't remember. I'd have to double check with them, but it's either 55s or 63s. I can't remember. And it's a little bit quicker than mine. Mine's just on greens and a T3. This has got the T34. A couple of other bits and pieces. It's lovely under that bonnet. I'll show you in a bit. It drives so nice as well. I know when he first got it, he said it had a little bit of there was a bit of a knock from the steering, but can't be much. I haven't felt it yet, so it's obviously not that bad. Nathan, if you're watching this, which I know you will be, there's a fairly new 911 Carrera S just tried to get us to play it, and I've refused. This is for you, Clarky lad. A little burst there, and it turns out this is a little bit quicker than this shitty Porsche in front. Do you know what? Cozzies, the rattle, squeak, the stink of oil, you never know if they're going to brake or not. Well, you do, they are going to brake, but you cannot help but love them. There's something about them, the way they drive, everything. Right guys, I'm just getting down to Lawnsy's now, and you'll see straight away we've got an RS Turbo here that's in for a bit of work as well. We've got Nathan's car here that I came down in. My car's inside there with some other goodies as well. But I'm going to introduce you to an old friend of mine for a lot of years. If he can get off that car. Come on, John. Get yourself in the shot. YouTube, John Lawns. Me and John go back a good 15, 16 years.
Easy.
One of the original hooligans in the Cosworth world.
Back when they were fun.
Back when they were fun, and by fun we mean cheap. So I met John when I was about 20, which was 15, 16 years back now, when I got my first Cosworth. Well, that's when I got my first, and you already had yours. And John had a lovely, stunning 40, how many miles?
49 when came off the roads.
When it came off the road, 49,000 mile Sapphire Cosworth. I spent a lot of time in that car. It should have probably came with a sick bag, that car as well, to be fair, like back in the day. Boburn back roads. Boburn in Mexico, of course, not in England. But yeah, it was, we had some good times, me and John. But a lot of people have been asking who I use to look after me Cosies, and this is the man. He uses old school techniques. You've got an ear for these things, haven't you, John?
You have to, don't you?
You do, and I believe you've built them from the ground up, which we'll probably touch base on that shortly. And but for now, I think if we can show us what you've got in your garage at the minute, John, yeah? This thing needs no introduction whatsoever, and this is a car where, John, I thought it was yours. You've had it that long.
So yeah.
It's genuinely, this lives in John's private garage or man cave, whatever you want to call it, but he does look after it for a very good friend of his. And to be fair, I mean, this thing is, it's showroom condition, safe to say. It is absolutely immaculate. It really is. It's a beautiful example. And the guy that owns this car, he's no stranger to Cosworths. I think he's had quite a few over the years.
Aye,
Loads. Yeah.
Lots.
And
In
this
fact,
is,
he's the one that got me into Cosworths. I mean,
that must go back a long way.
Before I could drive, he was always at them.
Mint.
Always at them.
And I think this is probably one of his cheaper cars, but we'll not go into it. It's about the Cosworth. Looking at it, the camera's not going to do it any justice as to how nice that car is. It is immaculate, but I know it's, well, like any Cosworth, it's had work in the past. This was all built from a reputable, would we say, engine builder, Cosworth specialist, done down south a number of years ago, but it's never been 100% right. Now, it might, we're not going to name them, it might just be down to the fact it's been sat a long time, I don't know, but I know you've had this engine in bits, John, yeah? And what did we find when we took the engine apart?
Bad head gasket leak.
Very bad.
Well, originally it came over to get some poly bushes done in the rear because he said it fell flighty on boost.
As they all do, John.
Yeah. Oh. The deal was I crashed my BMW into a fence when I was a bit not awake, and he was painting that and I was fixing this. And while it was over, he says, "Can you have a look at the cooling cap? I think it needs a new seal." Because after about half an hour it starts leaking water.
That's a pressure issue, John.
Yeah, head gasket. But not only was the head gasket gone bad, it put a slight low spot in the block and all, so it turned out being a bit more than what we expected.
Well, I'm sure I came down here months ago now when that engine was in bits. And now, again, the camera's not really going to show you, but it's probably one of the quietest sounding Cosworth lumps I've ever heard.
That's what I like about it. I mean, it's not standard, it's running high-end 300 brake horsepower.
What's the spec on it, John?
T34, RS500 intercooler, light blues, switchable boost. Engine-wise, the engine's near enough standard.
There were a racing engine out the shop, these though, weren't there? The only way you can describe them. There's, you know, nowadays people start forging things to get more power. these...
They were forged from the factory.
Exactly, they were, and that's what makes these cars so famous.
Came with a steel crank, came with mal pistons, steel rods. I mean, I've seen standard bottom ends run 500 brake.
There you go. And they were literally a racing engine, and that's why cars like this now are so valuable. You don't get that in modern day cars. You don't get a race engine in a modern day vehicle. But when you used to buy these and you got a 12-month warranty, they could afford to do that. I wouldn't like to put a 3-year warranty on a Cosworth engine, would you, John?
Back then there wasn't many cars you could buy just over 200 brake and double the power output on them on a standard engine. It's
Well, they were massively turned down, weren't they? In fact,
over-engineered.
from memory, weren't they meant to run 270, 300 horsepower out the factory anyway, but it was too much. So rumour has it.
Originally they were only supposed to be NA.
Yeah. But
They made them turboed.
we'll pop the bonnet open on this one, we'll just show you underneath. What's the miles on this one, John?
37,000.
As for a value on something like that, it's however much someone's willing to pay, I would say, John, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, he likes to keep them looking clean. Obviously, he uses them. I mean, that's what they're there for. He's not one to sit and polish the engine bay, as you can see. It, when it does come out, it does get abused and go sideways. It's
Typical
that's what they're there for.
old school Cosy owner.
Yeah. I was going to buy it after I crashed mine.
And the crash we're going to touch base on.
What I could have bought it for, I should have. It's worth about 4 or 5 times more than what I was going to pay for it.
Am I alright to quickly show them you, Cosworth?
Oh, the back end's still there.
I'll quickly show you it. Right, so I'm going to show you John's Concourse Amazing Sapphire Cosworth. It's not this one. Where are we, John?
Over here.
There we go. Currently, I believe it is being used to store wheels, yeah?
Yep. And we marked to go front end.
How long did you have it on the road, John, once you rebuilt it?
I knew you couldn't bring that up.
Roughly?
Was it 2 days or 3 days? 3 days, I think.
Well, I got a picture and then 24 hours later I got a phone call about a horrendous Cosworth crash.
Well, the first day I took it out was on my trader's policy, then with my tray plates in it. And the second day I think I taxed it. Then the third day we were going to go to a little car meet, and all my mates were going in their Cosworths, so I thought I better get insured properly. So I insured it at tea time, paid my deposit, and if I remember rightly it was that night when I crashed it.
Lovely paint job, John.
Right.
Right, so we've dropped several hints that there was an incident with your Cosworth. We've seen the aftermath of your Cosworth. Before we go on, I remember being in your car the day you took it off the road about 15 years back. Now, if I remember rightly, we were on the way back from a car show in Mexico, wasn't it, John? Was it Mexico?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice speed limit over there.
The very good speed limits in Mexico, and we came across a bright red 3-door Cosworth, obviously not the factory colour, owned by Andy, who luckily, Andy, you know who you are, and I believe Andy was luckily currently in Mexico with us.
Coming back from a car show.
Coming back from a car show, and I remember being in that car, and your Cosworth used to rev like it was possessed, yeah?
Oh yeah.
It's like 8,000 RPM, if not more.
You took no notice of the rev counter.
Yeah. So, we're on the way back, and I distinctly remember 4th gear, we got jammed in, it overheated, and it stuck in 4th gear at about 140-ish, wasn't it, John? So I was in it on that day, and then on the way back we managed to get it home, and that was pretty much the last time it was on the road till you dismantled it, wasn't it?
Me and Ian went out playing, and I had a brand new Ford clutch, and I thought I'll put that in for the time being, brand new in the box, and it lasted 600 miles, and all the friction material dropped off. But just before that happened, my turbo was on its last legs. I only had 3 gears left after playing one day, So we went out to try and lose the rest of the gears and tyres and kill it all together. And that's when it ended up coming off the roads.
I remember that because it came off the road for a strip down, and it took, I know you were on and off, but there was 8 years went into that car, yeah? 8 years. And I remember being in Florida at the time, and I got a picture sent through, which I'll show you now. And I couldn't believe it. I'm out in Florida, mixing it up with Mickey Mouse and Daffy Duck, all the rest of them, and I get this picture, and it was so exciting. I was like, my God, it's done, it's finished, it's on the road. And it was 24 hours after that picture that I got sent. It had the trade plates in that picture as well, John. 24 hours later, my phone's going nuts. Dan, there's a cuzzy, it's crashed on the Wessington Way. And I couldn't think, I thought, well, it'll not be John. And then the photos came through, and they were, which you'll probably see now, but that's probably one of the scariest cuzzy crashes I've ever seen. But what happened? But hold on, just so you know, this is YouTube, John, and if you say there was a mechanical failure or something broke, they're gonna ridicule you.
Well, all I'm going to say is it had 90 mile on its brand new engine, new pistons, new everything. The one-off built T4, the lot. I was running it in, and when I actually did it, the corner is notorious for being greasy where I went round. And I did go round in the fast lane. I wasn't on boost at the time.
You win a lot of lanes, John.
And the front end slid, hit the curb, and break the wheel off the curb. I'll be that lane. Then at the last minute, when it hit the curb, I tried to chuck the car into obviously the left-hand lane. But a friend of mine was in the left-hand lane in his RX-7, and I thought, oh fuck, I'm not hitting that.
That was an expensive car and all.
I turned towards the curb again. I thought I'd hit it once, so might as well hit it again. When I went to turn towards the curb, I had no steering. The car was thinking, it's going where it wants to, and that's it. So you try the normal thing. Everything happened in a split second. I mean, it was maybe all happened within 100, 200 yards. But in that time, I can remember trying to steer it into it. You let off the throttle. You do all sorts to try and, you know how easy the back end step back in on them.
I've always found the problem with a cuzzy, I think they're really controllable cars,
yeah,
like really. But when you lose them, and you're out of control, you're gone. You might as well jump in the passenger seat, because you can't do anything once you lose them.
It was going down, right, you made it slow down by then, and I was going down the dual carriageway sideways, and I can remember looking, and I could see this barrier. I'm heading straight for the barrier. I can remember thinking at the time, even though everything probably happened in less than 2 seconds, I'm going into that barrier. So I can remember flooring it and trying to get it to either spin round on the road facing the opposite way, or to get grip and go down the embankment. That didn't work neither. I think somebody had a rope tied to my car from that barrier, and my legs hit the barrier basically.
Which you'll see in the photographs that I upload now. John's fine for them to be shown, but I think they were even, was it the ambulance service there, they were even suggesting they might have to hack your leg off there and then to get it.
Apparently they were going to take my leg off there and then, because I had no pulse and I was badly trapped.
Guys, you might remember I said I had my car in getting checked over for a rattle at the front as well. What was wrong with my car, John?
Yeah.
Take it easy.
I've got a rattle. I think I can see a little crack in some way. He says he'd actually managed to snap one of the mounting points off the front sump for the front diff. So
I drive me cars, John.
It's actually snapped clean off. So that wasn't holding it on. The top bolt was totally missing, and the bolt at the front's halfway out. So when you drove over yesterday, I think the only thing holding your front diff in is
front prop,
the dry shaft.
What's that, aye?
So everything's stopping it from coming off the sump. And what you got to think is, when he drove it down, he rang us to say it had a vibration and a wobble. And he's going to drive it down nice and slowly because of this. But when he drove down with another Cosworth
Via Mexico.
that was coming down to get some work done, he says, I opened it up a little bit, but not much. You can imagine.
It would get this bad. I push it down before I lose my head. I'm looking out for a place to rest. Things I would have done to be back again. Are you bleeding like I'm bleeding? Remember life so easy back then. Are you running? Where are you going? We used to be so golden. We could go all night. We could go all night. We came so close to find it all. Remember holding on in the back of your car.
Well guys, I've just been to give this thing a very quick wash. Well, very quick. I spent a couple of hours on it to be honest, but he did lend us it, so it's only fair I take it back on this occasion better than it left. I hope you've enjoyed some of the old Cosworth tales from back in the day, and obviously getting a chance to see John, who, if anyone needs any Cosworth work doing in the northeast, I strongly advise you give him a shout and drop us an inbox. I'll tell you how to get in touch with John, and he'll look after you. He really will. Just mention that you've seen his post on this channel. I'll guarantee he will do his best to look after you. So I'm just going to head back now, put this back in Nathan's garage, park it up for the day, and that's us done. But thank you very much for watching.